Alright, let's try another one. Here we've got the functions f of x equals x squared and g of x equals root 4x minus 5. And we're going to determine the new function f dot g of x, or f times g of x. Okay, and again we'll call that h, and again we find it by taking f of x and multiplying it by g of x. So that gives x squared times root of 4x minus 5, which gives just x squared root 4x minus 5. Now you could bring this x squared term inside of the brackets by giving it an exponent equal to the root you want to bring it inside of. So since I wanted to bring it into a square root, I would square x squared, and that would turn it into x to the fourth. Right, so that would give me the root of x to the fourth, 4x minus 5. You could do that. I don't know if really that's simpler, but if your book has something a little bit different than what we had here, then you can modify it that way to try to make it look the same. Let's talk about domain and range of our function. When we do domain and range, we want to find the domain and range of the original function. That would be this guy right here in the green box. Okay. Since we have a radical, and especially since there's a variable in that radical, we have to consider the possibility that that radical could be negative if x was a certain value. So because of that, x is going to have some restrictions on it. Right? We can't square root negative numbers. So the stuff inside the radical has to be at the very least 0, but also it can be bigger or positive. So for which x values does that occur? Well, we bring the 5 over and divide by 4, and that gives us a restriction on x of everything greater than or equal to 5 over 4. So that's going to be useful in finding out the domain, because we're going to represent it with x. We're going to make sure that x is larger than or at least equal to 5 over 4, and it's all the real numbers after that point. The range, what would the range be? Well, if this was equal to, if x was equal to 5 over 4, this expression here, what would that equal? Well, that would equal 0, and if you're not sure, maybe just take 5 over 4 and plop it in for x and see what you get. You should get 0, right? And if you put it into the radical here, you square root 0, and then you get 0 again, and you multiply by the x squared, and you still have 0. So the smallest that y can be is 0, right? That's the smallest value that it can be because of the way we've restricted x. And it's all the real numbers after that point. So there's our domain and range for our new function, x squared times the root of 4x minus 5.